No, those boundary conditions are always going to be Neumann, and so they're just going to switch from Neumann of 0 to a Neumann of 35 instead. Yeah, yeah, they never go Dirichlet. Mm-hmm. No, thank you. Okay, it's 5:30, so let's go ahead and get started today. All right, good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing today? It's our last week of class, so our last week together is right upon us already. Okay, so hopefully everyone's doing good, right? And so my plan for this week is it's just going to be a chill week. I think we've done a lot in this class already, and so we're just going to continue along with our tutorials and OpenFOAM. Okay, so remember, OpenFOAM is this open source computational software, right? So I know this class is called computational heat transfer, but all the tutorials that I'm going to show you today and on Wednesday are going to have to do with computational fluid dynamics. Okay, and so it's related to this class, but not exactly related, because what these simulations are going to do is they're going to solve the Navier-Stokes equations. Okay, and you can then take those solutions and then solve the heat equation with them. But OpenFOAM, as I'm starting to see, is a really massive software package that probably you can devote like a couple months to really learn it really well. And so we're just going to scratch the surface. I'll give you all the basics and I'll show you kind of where to look. And so if you want to apply OpenFOAM to another project, you kind of know, you at least know how to get started, and you know where to kind of look for help. Okay. And so where we left off was we were still learning Linux stuff, and so that's kind of where I plan to pick it up today, right? And so besides that, are there any questions I can answer about the project, or the plan for this week, plan for next week, or just anything about the class in general? Right. Remember, we don't have any final exams in this class, but we do have the final project, and so the project is going to be due not this upcoming Sunday, but the Sunday after that. So you have a little bit less than 2 weeks left to go. Okay, so the project's going to be due on Sunday, May 23rd at 11:59 p.m. Okay, and then I should grade them by the in the following week, and then you'll know what you got on there. Okay. Okay. Oh, I do have one more announcement, and I'll send this out through email too. That SOQs are up for this semester. Okay, so SOQs, if you're not familiar, those are our student opinion questionnaires. Okay, and so that's your chance to kind of tell me and tell the department how this class was going for you. Okay, and so SOQs are extremely important, because just kind of just very basically, kind of the landscape of engineering and the landscape of tools that are out there. Usually those things evolve at a little bit of a quicker rate than what we can do academically. Okay, and so actually, so typically, the way that classes evolve and curriculums evolve is we take feedback from you guys as students, and then we use that information to refine our curriculum, to make things to make sure our curriculum is always relevant and always as helpful as it can be for the students. Okay. And so making sure, and so getting your feedback and getting your opinions of this class or all the classes is something that's really important. Okay? And so I think though your SOQ should be available to you on the Canvas site. Right? And so some of you may have filled it out already, and so if you did, thank you very much. But if you haven't yet, I think you have until the end of this week to fill it out. Right? So please fill it out. And the most important thing I want you to do or to think about when you're filling these out is just to be perfectly honest with it. Okay. I'm not so naive just to SOQs. Yeah. So SOQ, student opinion questionnaires, are up. yeah, they're totally anonymous, and so we have no idea who set what afterwards. So please just be completely honest with these evaluations, because I'm not so naive as to think that everything went perfectly in this class. In fact, I know that there's a lot of things that can be improved, right? And so I have my own kind of reflections on those things, but it always really helps to get your guys' opinions too. So please fill out your SOQs. And please, be honest with them. Why they not have an A+ option? Well, I mean, just fill it out. Yeah. I don't read the feedback. They don't give it to us until after this semester, and so I probably won't be able to read them until like July. And so they do that, on purpose, so that those things don't influence our decision making. Yeah, so we don't see them until much later. So yeah, so please be honest. If you want to put your name, you can if you want, but generally, if these things are anonymous, there people are more honest. And so I've gotten a lot of really great feedback from my classes in the past. Like just last semester, I taught a graduate finite element class, and someone had a lot of really good criticism, because I taught the class, very similar to how this class was taught. So we focused a lot on the theory and the methods, but I think his expectation going in was that, he'd learned how to use finite element software in a professional sense. And, I think he did a really nice job of kind of describing that in his feedback. And that's something I'm going to take into account for the future. And so, I think comments like those are always, really helpful for me to help improve this class. So please fill them out. Please be honest, and your feedback will definitely be heard for that. Okay, so that's out of the way. I'll send an email about that just to remind everyone too, just because I know usually we're not running with the full crew this late in the semester, especially with virtual stuff. And so the goal with SOQs is always to get as much pull as possible. So I'll send an email out to everyone just to remind. Okay, and so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and continue on with OpenFOAM. Okay, and so let me actually show you the what we're going to do today. Okay, and so let me just kind of go in here really quick. And so today, by the end of today, we're going to run our first OpenFOAM simulation. And so it's going to look something like this. Right? And so we're going to be simulating the flow of some fluid. I think it's air in this case through a nozzle like this. Okay. And so what we'll be able to see is that right now you're kind of seeing an empty field, and so this is where the simulation is beginning. But by the time the simulation ends, you'll have something that looks like this. Okay. And so what's happening here is that we have this kind of almost like an injector nozzle a little bit. So you kind of have this field over here on the left, or where the fluid's coming in. So the fluid's going to come in, it's going to mix with some fluid that's not moving very quickly, and then all of it's going to be swept out on the outside. Okay. Actually, let me go and apply this. That's not what I wanted to do, actually. That was a mistake. Right. So what I wanted to do was this one, right? Right. And so let's do U. Okay. Okay. Oh, wow, that did a lot. Okay. We'll delete that for now. Okay. So basically, the colors represent, how quickly the velocity is running. Okay. So we have a high velocity here at where the nozzle is coming in, and then that mixes in with some still fluid down here, and it's all going to exit out. Okay. And so this is kind of the result of a computational simulation. Okay. And so let me do this to kind of make things appear a little bit better for you guys. Okay. And so you can see here what I've done is I've turned on the mesh. Right. And so the mesh, is something that we're very intimately familiar with in this class. And so whenever we run a computational problem, we have to take our domain and then break it up into lots of smaller domains. Right. So here we have in this case, it's a finite volume mesh of a lot of different cells. And it's all meshed just like that. Okay. And so we're going to finish up the tutorial today. We're going to finish up the installation, make sure that we can run this, and then you'll be able to see the results. Okay. And so, I think, we'll definitely be able to get that done today. And then Wednesday, we'll kind of run through kind of another example, kind of, in a lot more detail. Okay. But today we're going to focus mostly on the installation, focus mostly on just kind of getting your system prepared for it, and then kind of just running our first simple job. Okay, so let me go back and to the terminal here. Okay, and so if you want to follow along, you can go ahead and open up your Ubuntu terminal, right? And so remember how to do that. You go to Start, you go down to Ubuntu, okay, and you launch it, and then you open up a terminal just like that, right? So I already had one open, and so we're just going to go in from here. Okay. And so I think where we left off last time was we were still going over basic Linux commands, right? And so, unfortunately, OpenFOAM is kind of built for a Linux system, and so in order to really use it and to interact with it and to view everything, you need to know a little bit of Linux, okay? And so we went through a little bit of this last time, and so we went over two primary commands, right? And so the first command that we went over was ls, right? And so ls is a way to view, right? View all of the files and folders in your current directory. Okay. So let me do this. Let me do this like I did last time, right? Okay. And so ls is basically what you kind of have by default here on the Windows Explorer, right? And so, I want to do these things kind of side by side because they're basically kind of the same thing, right? And so just as an example, what we did is we went to the desktop, okay? And so on the desktop, from your Windows Explorer, you can see all the different files and folders that are available to you here, okay? And you can see things like, this file right here, which is a Python script that I had before, okay? And the way that you interact with this is you can visually kind of see all the files here, and you can click and you can interact with them, okay? So if you want to open a file, you can just double click it. If you want to go into a folder, you just double click that, okay? And so the Linux terminal is nothing more than just what you see on the left here, except you execute everything with text commands, okay? And so even something as simple as just seeing what's here, seeing what files are available, you need to enter a test command or a Linux command for that, okay? And the command for that is ls, okay? And so by hitting ls, you can see that I have all these folders here, okay? And the color, and if you're confused by the color scheme, what you can see here is that everything that's blue, dark blue, those are folders, right? Okay. So those are folders that we can enter and we can view the contents of, okay? Files that are white or green, those are typically files, okay? And so files, you can just interact with them just like that, without being able to go into them, okay? And for my system, you might see this or you might not, but I've kind of fiddled with my system quite a bit. And so I have some folders here that are highlighted in green. And so, that just means that those folders have different permissions than the other ones. Yeah. Yeah, so that was ls. And so ls was the first command that we went over. Okay, so ls is just simply, view whatever files are in this current folder. Okay. And so the other command that we went over, I think we only went over two, actually. And so the other command that we went over was cd. Okay. And so cd stands for change directory. And so what that is it's a command to let you go into folders, right? And so just, let's go back to the Windows side here. So from our analogy, the way that we go into a folder and see what files are in there is we double click, right? And so let's say that I want to go into this folder here called test files. And so the way I go into that folder is I just simply double click, right? Okay. Or you can highlight it and then hit enter on your keyboard. That's another option too, okay? And so the way that you do that from a Linux terminal is you enter the cd command, right? So actually, let me go to the desktop just so you can kind of see. Okay. And so if I want to go into that folder called test files, you can see I have a folder here called that, right? The way that I enter that folder is I do cd test files. Okay. Oh. And yes, you have to be very careful with your spelling because you have to type everything exactly. Okay. And so you can see after I hit cd test files, I'm now inside this folder. Okay. And if I hit ls, I can see all the files that are available to me. And so I can see here that I have a dp0 folder, a session files folder, and a users files folder, right? And so that's exactly what I see here on the Windows side. Okay. And so cd is a command that you use to enter folders. Okay. And the way you use it is just cd and the name of the folder, right? And so, the other kind of special case that we went over with cd is that if you want to go if you want to exit the folder, right? And so let's say that you want to go back up one level, okay? If we want to do that on the Windows system, we click on this up arrow right here, okay? So that'll take us back up. And so on the Linux side, the way that we do that is we do cd space ... okay? And so ... is kind of a special, or period is kind of a special Linux command or Linux location that says, you know, take me one up from here, or let me get out of this folder, okay? Okay, and so that's ls and cd, and so that's kind of very basic kind of Linux navigation, right? I think, oh, we went over one more concept, and so the last concept that we went over in Linux was the tab autocomplete, right? And so tab autocomplete is your best friend in Linux by far, right? And so what tab autocomplete will do is it'll let you autocomplete the name of a file or folder without you having to type in the entire thing, right? And so let me do one more thing. So let me do ls here, okay? And let's say that I want to open this file here called ft01 poisson, okay? .py. And so, you know, one way that I can do this, so let's say that I want to open up in a text editor, I can do gedit ft01 poisson.py, right? So I can type out the whole name if I'm some weird masochist and I like typing. So that's one way you can do it. Okay. Another way that you can put in that full file name is you can say, you know, ft. Okay. And I notice here in my folder that nothing else starts with ft. And then all I have to do is hit tab on my keyboard. And then by hitting tab, then it auto completes the rest of the name for me. Okay. And so this is really nice because, as you can imagine, you know, since everything is text-based in Linux, you know, you're going to be typing a lot of names and a lot of commands and stuff like that. And so if you can tab autocomplete stuff, it's going to save you a ton of time. Okay. Okay. And so those are the three main concepts that we went over last Wednesday: was the ls command, the cd command, and then also tab autocompleting. Okay. So are there any questions on any of this so far? Okay. All right. So you know, remember what I said. You know, using Linux is going to be really weird, and so it's not something that you kind of pick. It's not something that you listen to someone talk about and you say, oh yeah, I get it, no problem. And so it's something that you really kind of have to practice doing because it's very different from, like, you know, like a graphical system like Windows or okay. Okay. And so the next command that we're going to learn is how to make a new folder. Okay. Masochistic OS. you can call it that. Yeah. All right. And so we're gonna learn the command for making a new folder. Okay. And so let's do it on the Windows side first. Right. And so if we want to make a new folder, you know, the way that we usually do it is we go to our Windows Explorer here. We right click, and we go to New, and we go to Folder, and the new thing comes here called New Folder. Okay. New folder. We can name it whatever we want, and then we hit Enter, and then we have our new folder. Right. And so it's very kind of visual. But in Linux, you know, you can accomplish the same thing with a text command, okay? And so we're adding a new command to our arsenal here, okay? And so the command for making a folder is called mkdir, okay? And what that stands for is make directory, okay? All right. And so we do mkdir, new folder, right? And so whenever you type mkdir, you have to give a name for your new folder. And so I'm going to call this one new folder, right? But you can call your directory whatever you want. And so let's say that I want to make a directory called Steve. And so we can say mkdir Steve, okay? And that'll create a new folder called Steve, okay? And you can see here that as soon as I made that command, I have this new folder called Steve right here, okay? Oh, cool, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of really cool custom OSs out there. Yeah. And so, you know, this is kind of just one basic, you know, implementation of Linux. And so there's other implementations of Linux. Like if you want a full Ubuntu operating system, you know, that's typically the standard one. Yeah. So Ubuntu actually has a graphical, you know, interface too. But even within, you know, Ubuntu, the full Ubuntu operating system, you know, the terminal still plays a big role in it. And so, you know, if you want to know Linux, you know, learning the terminal is kind of central to that. Okay. All right. And so that's the make mkdir command. And so if you want to make a new folder, you just do mkdir and then the name of the folder, and then you're good to go. Right? And so, you know, not really much to say for that one, okay? And so making a directory is pretty simple. Okay? Actually, let me do it one more time just so that you can kind of see. Let me clear this up. Okay. And so let me make a new directory, and we'll call it, you know, let's say, you know, I guess we just deleted Steve, so Steve just died, and so we'll call this Steve_2. Okay. Right, and so you can see that we made a new folder here called Steve_2. Okay. Oh, one other thing that you should know about Linux is that Linux really hates spaces. Okay. And so you notice here that I called this folder Steve_2, right? And so, you know, I didn't call this mkdir Steve space 2, okay? Because Linux is not going to recognize that, because, you know, space is actually a very special character in Linux, and that's how you use to kind of separate in between like a command and a target, or between two separate commands or two separate files, okay? And so if you want to put a space in like your file names or something like that, you have to use an underscore, okay? And you probably noticed that with all the files that I've sent you in this class too, that it's, you know, I always use underscores for it, just because I'm just so used to Linux that, you know, if I want to put a space in my file name, I put just an underscore there to keep it all one contiguous name. Okay. And so that's really important, because if you actually put spaces in your Linux file names, it's not going to you know, it's not going to bad things are going to happen. Okay, so make sure you, if you want to put spaces in your file names, use underscores instead. Okay, and so now we have our folder Steve2. Let's learn how we can copy files into it. Okay, and so another kind of central kind of file management thing in Windows is to copy and paste, right? And so let's say I want to take this file right here called ft+1. If I want to copy and paste, I can right-click this. I can do copy, and then I can go into this folder Steve2, and then I can paste it. Okay, and then that's how you copy and paste with the keyboard. Right? Can you do CD GameCube ROMs? Wait, what? CD. Oh, my GameCube ROMs. Maybe another time. Wait, is that here? It's not even here. Oh, right here. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here are all my ROMs. Yeah. Okay. That's enough of that. Okay. Okay. We can talk about it more after the class. Yeah. Okay. And so that's how we copy and paste, right? And so we copy and paste by basically, you know, right-clicking copy and then pasting into our folders. Okay. And so Linux has another command for you know, for copying and pasting, right? And so we can do this by using the command cp. Okay. And so we go to our Linux terminal here, right? And so the cp command here, it's pretty straightforward. So it stands for copy. Okay. And so using this command, we can copy and paste files into other folders. Okay. And so let's try doing the exact same thing that we did before. And so let me actually go ahead and delete this ft01 Poisson. Okay. And let me go ahead and copy that ft01 Poisson into our folder Steve2. Okay. Right. And so for the cp command, you need to enter two things after it. Okay. And so the kind of the syntax for cp is you do cp. Right? And so the first thing that you put on after the cp is the files that you want to copy. And so that's the first thing that you put in. And then the second thing that you put in, separated by a space, is the destination for the files. Okay. And so the last thing is basically where you want to put the files eventually. Okay. Okay. And so in this case, the file that we want to copy is ft01. Okay. I'm going to use my tab autocomplete to complete that that statement. Okay. And then I want to paste this into the folder called Steve2. Okay. Okay. And so let me do that. Okay. And then let's go into Steve2. Oops. ls. And you can see here that we have this ft01 Poisson here file. Okay. And so cp is a very, you know, important command, because that allows us to basically copy and paste files or folders or whatever. Okay. And so we're going to use that a lot, because, you know, we're going to be copying a lot of the example files that are in OpenFOAM, and we're going to copy that to, you know, our current directory. Okay. All right. Okay, so that's the copy command, and so that's another kind of very central command that we need. Okay, and so CP is basically the CP is like copy and paste at the same time. And so that's how you would do kind of a Linux copy and paste from the Linux terminal. Okay, and so that's CP, and so that's another command that we're going to use. Okay, and so another command that's common is cut and paste, right? And so if we want to cut and paste this thing, we would right click this, we would do cut. Okay, I know there's keyboard shortcuts, but you can't see my keyboard, and so I'm going to do this all by clicking obnoxiously. Okay, and so I'm going to right click this and click cut. And then we can right click here and then click paste. Okay. And so that copied and pasted files here. Okay. Let me put it back so we can do this here. Okay. And so the command for cutting and pasting in Linux is MV. Okay. And so MV here stands for move. Okay. And so MV here, this is our cut and paste command. Because if you think about cutting and pasting, you know, another way to kind of think of cutting and pasting is you're taking a file from one location and you're pushing it to another different location, right? And so, you know, that's what the origin of this move, because cut doesn't really make sense in Linux, and so they just use a simple command called move. Okay, and so the syntax for this is very similar to CP, and so for move, you're going to do move, and the first thing you're going to put after the move command is the file that you want to cut and paste. Okay. Okay. And then after that, you're going to put the location where you want to paste it. Okay. And so we're going to do MV ft01 Poisson into Steve2. Okay. And so let's go into Steve2. Okay. And then here is our file. Right. If I hit an ls here, you can see that the ft01 is missing here. And that's because it was moved. Okay. And so let me cut and paste this back. Okay. And so I'm going to combine something that we learned earlier with CD, which was the .. command. Right? And so let's move this ft01. Let's move that back into our desktop. Okay. And so I'm going to do MV ft01. Okay. And then for the destination for this move command, I'm going to put .. Okay. Remember, .. is a special kind of location within Linux that tells you to go put this in a folder that's one above me. Okay. So let me go ahead and do this. Okay, and watch the left side of the screen here. Okay, and you can see as soon as I did that, then this ft01 appeared here back on my desktop. Okay, and if I go in my folder Steve2, it's nothing here. Okay, right. So that's because we copied and pasted that file from our Steve2 folder back to our desktop. Okay. Okay, and so that's move. So that's copy. The CP command and move, and so that's copy and paste and cut and paste, right? And so as you can imagine, you know, if you think about how many times you copy and paste files in your system and how many times you cut and paste stuff, you know, you can imagine that these commands are used a lot in Linux. Okay. Okay. So any questions on this so far? For the record, I did buy all those games in my GameCube ROM collection at some point. Just now I can't play it because I don't have my GameCube anymore. Okay, install OpenFOAM. So that's going to be later, and so we're kind of learning all kind of the basic stuff before that, and we need to install a couple programs before OpenFOAM. But before the end of the day, we're gonna download and install OpenFOAM. Yeah. Okay. And so that's the CP command and the move command, and so those are, you know, very important. Okay, and so the last command that I'm going to teach you is the RM command. Okay, and so RM, as you can imagine, this stands for remove. Okay? Or in other words, this is the Linux command for deleting files. Okay. Okay, and so let me see a file that I don't actually. Let me create a new file. Okay, so let me touch delete me. Please.txt. Okay, and so I've created a new file here called delete me please txt. Okay, but since, you know, it's named delete me please, let's go ahead and delete it. Okay, and so the way that we do this is very simple, and so we just run the command rm. Actually, let me clear this so you can see at the top. Okay, right, and so we're going to run the command rm, And then after rm, you're going to put the name of the file that you want to delete. Okay. Okay. And so we're going to do rm delete me please.txt. Okay. And so I want you guys to pay attention here on the left-hand side, in particular this this file here, delete me please. Okay. And so as soon as I run this command, that file is going to be deleted. Okay? And so let's go ahead and run the command, and it's gone. Okay. And so the way that you delete files is you use the rm command. And so you have to be careful using the rm command. And so don't use rm to delete stuff on your Windows part, because it deletes it for good. Okay, because normally when you delete files in the on your Windows system, it moves it to the recycle bin. But this is basically, yeah, it's basically just delete for good. Yeah. How do I create a text file? Yeah, so there's a command that you can use. I'm not really going to go over it because it's not really that important. But there's a file called touch. There's a command called touch, and that will help you create an empty file, right? But in the grand scheme of things, it's not super important. And so I used it here just because you know, I had to create a file for deleting, and I don't know if I'm going to miss any of these files, and so I just created a new one. Yep. Yep. And so touch is literally like you're touching a file, and then you're kind of creating it. So you have like the touch of God, I guess. At least for Linux. Okay. Okay. All right, and so that's how you delete files. But another useful thing that you're going to need is how to delete folders. Okay. Okay. And so to delete folders, there's a couple ways that you can do it. And so there's a specific command for this called rmdir. Okay. And so rmdir removes a directory. Okay. And so, you know, if we want to, let's say we want to remove this directory Steve2. Okay. So we can do rmdir Steve2. Okay. And that's going to delete that directory. Okay. So that's one way that you can do it. But let me show you kind of the other way that I learned, because I didn't know about the command rmdir until actually just like last week or something. And so the way that I typically delete folders is I use the rm command by itself, and then I add a -r after it. Okay. And so let's say I wanted to remove this new folder called Steve3. Okay. And so I'm going to do rm-r Steve3, and then that deletes the folder. Okay. And so either one will work, but you know, if you want to delete a file, you know, that's how you typically do it. Okay. All right, and so that does it for our very quick crash course in Linux. Okay. And so just to kind of summarize, here's all the commands that we learned. Okay. And so first command that we learned was ls, and so that shows us, you know, what files that we have in our current folder. Okay. We learned the cd command, and so cd command that lets us go into certain folders. Okay. Remember, cd stands for change directory. Okay. We learned about the mkdir command, or make directory, and so this creates a new folder. Okay. We learned about the cp command, which is our copy and paste command. We learned about mv, which is our move command, so that's our cut and paste. Okay. And then finally, we have our rm command, which is our delete. Okay. And so now, you know, you should be equipped to basically navigate through your Linux system, create files, you know, to create folders, move files around, and delete folders. And so this is kind of the bare minimum of, you know, what you need to do to kind of navigate around Linux. Yes. Yes, you are now a master of basic Linux. Yes, you can put it on your resume now. Okay. All right, and so now that the basic Linux is out of the way, you know, now we can start to actually, you know, to actually download some stuff and install stuff for OpenFOAM. Okay, and so, you know, up to this point, we've just been covering basic Linux, and so that, you know, and you take any kind of introductory Linux course, they're going to teach you all that stuff. Okay, probably with a lot more examples and go a lot slower than we did, but you know, we have OpenFOAM that we need to get to. Okay. Okay. And so first thing we need to update our Ubuntu. Okay. And so if we don't update our Ubuntu, some things are going to go wrong, right? And so we're going to run some very special commands for this. Okay. And so the first command that we're going to do is we're going to download all the Ubuntu updates. Okay. And so the command that we're going to run is called sudo apt-get update. Okay. And it's spelled exactly as I have it right here, right? And so these are very special commands here to update your Linux system. Okay. And so after that, you can hit enter. And then after you hit enter for this, because we started this command with sudo, right? And so it's going to ask us for our password. Okay. And so you can just enter your password. You can enter. Okay. And just be careful that, when you're entering your password, nothing's going to show up just for security reasons. Okay. And so, just like for a case like this where I'm sharing my screen with someone, when I'm typing in my password, I don't want you guys to figure out, how many characters my password is. Okay. And so nothing's going to show up, but it is registering, right? So just type your password, try not to do any typos, and then just hit enter, and then that will do it. Okay. Right. And so for your guys' process, it might take a little bit of time because, I've already kind of updated my system, but your command might take, a little bit of time to kind of download all this stuff. Okay. And so, it's okay, so I would go ahead and run it, and just, if it's still running in the background, that's just fine. And then you can kind of come back to this kind of a little bit later, right? Okay, I see. Okay. And so the sudo apt-get update, that is how do we download, all the updates. Okay. And so if you're curious, the key to this is the sudo command. Okay. And so sudo stands for super user do. Okay. And it's kind of Linux's version of running things with admin privileges, right? And so if you want to run like a program with admin privileges in Windows, because sometimes you got to do that, to get a program to work, so you usually right-click stuff, and then you click run as administrator. Okay. And so when you do sudo, that's basically the same thing for Linux. And whenever you change kind of system files in a Linux system, you have to run it with sudo. Otherwise, it's not going to register. Okay. Okay. And so, you have to run the update command to update your Ubuntu. Okay. And so the next thing you have to run here is sudo another command, because we have to install our updates now. Okay. And so we're going to run the command called sudo apt-get upgrade. Okay. And so it looks similar to our last command, but now, this upgrade is going to install all of those updates. Okay. Oh, what do you know? I do actually have updates I need to do. Okay. And so, after you finish the updating, you're going to do sudo apt-get upgrade. Okay. And it's going to ask you if you want to install and use up additional disk space. Okay. And so for that, you're going to hit yes. Okay. Okay. And again, your guys' will probably take a bit more time because it's you guys are probably installing a lot more stuff. And so mine is still pretty new. And so I'm going to mine's going to go pretty fast, but this is something that you can just start and then, in the background, and then just kind of keep watching the lecture, and then, go back and kind of finish installing that again. Okay. Okay. And so that's taking a bit of time. Okay. And so while that's installing, we're going to go ahead and install kind of an auxiliary package. Yeah. Okay. All right. And so now that we've, after you complete the step, your Ubuntu will be fully updated. Okay, and so that's good. And so now we're going to need to start installing some specific programs that OpenFOAM needs. Okay, and so the first program that we're going to install is this thing called Xming. Okay, and so what this will do is this will allow us to launch graphical programs from Ubuntu. Okay, and that's really important because if we want to view our simulation results, we're going to need to be able to launch graphical programs from the terminal, okay? Because right now your kind of your vanilla Linux terminal is not equipped to to download or to launch graphical programs, okay? And so we need to kind of install a special program for this. And so and so at this point, I understand that it's we're kind of doing a lot of kind of things that, you might not feel comfortable with doing on your computer, right? And so we're going to go to this SourceForge page and download this kind of, third-party application. And so, remember, all this OpenFOAM stuff, it's all just kind of icing on this course. And so, if you don't feel comfortable doing this, that's totally fine. And so, I will say that, I did all these things and I vetted this stuff and I downloaded on my computer, but, if you don't feel comfortable, downloading these kind of programs to your computer, and I totally understand why, then you don't have to do it. Okay. Yeah. It's like the Linux version of pip install. Yeah, it is. It's exactly like the Linux version of pip install. Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to use that more later to install OpenFOAM. Right? Okay, and so we're going to go ahead and go to this website here. Okay. Right. And so if you want to get the, if you want to get the exact link, you can go to the the document and click it. Okay. And yeah, it's going to download a .exe. Okay. And so you're going to download it. Okay. Let me download this to my downloads. Okay. And then you're going to run that program, and then it's going to install on your system. Okay. Right. Okay. And so you don't have to change anything. And so if you just run it with all the default settings, like all that should be fine. Okay. And then so when the program is done installing, it'll ask you if you want to launch. And so you can say yes. Okay. And then it's just going to launch in the background of your computer. Okay. And so it needs to do this because it's you need to run this on the same computer that you plan to run OpenFOAM on. And so you need to kind of, it kind of needs this in order to launch graphical programs. Yeah. And so, I will say that, this was the part of the installation that kind of hung me up the most, because like, I read about this program online, but, you're installing something on my computer, and, you should always be careful about installing those things from the internet. And so, this took a big kind of psychological hurdle to get over, but, I did it just because I saw a lot of comments on the internet that said it was good, it was legit. Okay. Okay. And so after you finish installing it and you launch the program, you need to do one thing in your Linux terminal. Okay. And so after that program finishes installing, you're going to put in this command right here called echo export display : =0. Okay. And so, usually with these kind of complex commands, the easiest thing is just to copy and paste. Okay. And so you can copy and paste that command into here. So I already ran this command, and so I'm not going to do it again. Okay. And so what this will do is that this will enable graphical applications. Okay. Right, or I should say, it changes your system settings within Ubuntu in order to enable graphical settings. Okay. Oh, the instructions are on the Canvas site. And so if you go to Canvas, I don't have Canvas open. Right. If you go to Canvas, and then you go to, I think, week 15, right? And so week 15, you can download this document right here that with an Apple AirPod. I wouldn't trust. Yeah. And so you can, and so this is the document that I'm looking at to install everything. Yeah. Okay. All right. And so after you run this export command here, okay. Okay, so after you run this export command, we need to run this other source command here, okay? And so you can think of this as, as this command, what it's going to do is it's going to change one of your system settings to allow graphical displays, okay? And then this command right here, the source command, this is going to apply those changes to your system, okay? And so you're going to do source : /.bashrc, okay? Okay. And then that will apply your system settings to your Ubuntu. Okay. All right. And so that was probably the shadiest part of the process. So I do apologize for that, but it is something that we need to in order to view the results, because otherwise, you're not going to be able to view them. Okay. All right. So any questions on this so far? Song King Nigeria. Yeah. Okay, and so that's graphical commands. Okay, and so we'll actually see that in the very next setting. Okay, and so the next thing we need to do is we need to download and install a text editor. Okay, right, and so this is kind of this is basically kind of the same as Notepad, right? And so Notepad is kind of your very basic text editor, right? And so with it, you can open up text files or files that contain text, and you can modify them. And so Notepad is a little bit too basic for what we want to use for this. And so I want to download, I'm going to have you guys download one called gedit, which is, I think, a very, relatively lightweight one that has a lot of nice features for updating code, for editing code. Okay. And so we're going to download and install this directly within the Linux system. Okay. And so we can just input this command exactly as it is. And so we're going to do sudo apt-get install, okay, gedit, okay. And so what that'll do is that'll install the gedit program onto your system, okay. And so mine was already installed, and so you know, I didn't have to do anything, but you know, you can do the same thing. Oh, you guys are running into issues. And so command export not found. I think it looks like your quotation marks might not be good. Yeah, so you can try on typing in the command manually, right? And so you can try just typing echo double quotation marks export display == 0 close quotation marks to sideways cares things and then :/bashrc. Yeah, it looks like your quotation marks were kind of a little bit scuffed on there. Yeah. So Evangeline was kind of experiencing, that's kind of the Linux experience, is that when you don't do things exactly the way Linux wants, it gives you an error message that is probably not helpful, and then you kind of have to go on to Stack Overflow and search the internet for what those things mean. Yeah. All right, so were you able to get it? Oh dang. Okay. Let's touch base after the class then, because it's you know, those things usually it's easier to view you know, like in person. Yeah. Okay. All right. So for those of you who you can who are following along, that's great. You know, but if you're running into issues, let's kind of meet up after the class, because I do want to finish up this this document today. Okay. All right. And so now that, you know, at this point, if you were able to install the gedit command, we can go ahead and use it to modify a text file. Okay. And so let me go ahead and modify this ft01 Poisson. Okay. And so to edit this, I can just do gedit and then the name of the file. Okay. And you can see here that opens up another window where I can directly modify this text file. Okay. Right. And so you can see here, gedit is very nice because it has these different colorings. And so you can see, you know, and so it's very similar to kind of the MATLAB console, where it shows you kind of different colors for different commands and different colors for comments and things like that. Right. So I like gedit quite a bit. But you know, the thing about Linux users is that everyone kind of has their own favorite text editor, and then you know, so use the one that you feel most comfortable with. I like gedit, but you know, that's just me. Okay. All right. So any questions on this so far? Does Atom work with this? Yes, I think Atom is another text editor as well. I'm not familiar with it because I've just used gedit my whole life, but if you're familiar with Atom, then I think that should work for you too. Yeah. There's a lot of really good text editors. A lot of my colleagues use one called Sublime, and so that's kind of their favorite text editor. But I never really got into it. Yeah. All right. All right, and so all of that was kind of just prep work. And so now that all the prep work is out of the way, we're finally able to start installing OpenFOAM, right? And so this is kind of step 6 of our document right here, okay? And so to install OpenFOAM, we have to do a few different commands here, okay? Right? And so all you have to do here is you kind of just have to input all of these commands one by one, hit enter, and then those will do everything that you need, okay? Right. And so these instructions here were basically lifted straight off of the OpenFOAM website. Okay, so if you go to their website, you know, this is exactly what they have here. Okay, and so I've just kind of written up the same thing in this document here. Okay, right. So installing Linux softwares here is actually really you know, and if you want to install other Linux softwares, then a lot of the other websites kind of have the same kind of style where you just tell you input all these commands, and then after all of that, then you should be good. Okay, and so that's exactly what we're going to do. Okay, And so the first command we're going to do is we're going to input this kind of long command here. Okay. So let me just copy and paste this. Okay. Right. And so we're going to do sudo sh-c wget-o some website and then apt key add. Right. Okay. And so if you're curious what that long command does, was that we're directly accessing the OpenFOAM servers. And so OpenFOAM, even though it's a very great software package, it's not an official Linux package, right? So it's kind of a niche thing just for engineers. And so in order to download it, we have to basically get access to the server. And so what we're doing here is we're adding the OpenFOAM servers to our list. Okay. Right. And so this command is kind of a two-parter. And so this kind of first adds the website. And then we need to officially add the server into our repository, okay? And so we can do this command here. Okay. So after you execute the first command, this first command should be very quick, okay? And then you're just going to input the second command here, okay? And you're just going to hit enter, okay? And that will do that will add the OpenFOAM servers to your repository, okay? Okay. And so after that, we have to update, okay? And so this is the same command that we ran earlier, okay? Because now that we've added the OpenFOAM repository, we have to actually apply those changes, okay? And so we can do sudo apt-get update, okay? Right? And then yours might take some time as it adds those, add that repository, okay? But then that's kind of what the end of that, okay? All right. And so now that we've added the OpenFOAM servers, all we have to do now is just install OpenFOAM. Okay, and so it's just one command to add our OpenFOAM or to install it. Okay, right. And so all we have to do is just input this command directly. And so we do sudo apt-get -y install OpenFOAM 8. Okay. And then all you have to do from there is just hit enter, and then that will install OpenFOAM for you, okay? And so it might take a while because OpenFOAM is a fairly large software, but that's all you have to do, and you can just let it run in the background, okay? All right, and so it might take some time, so just give it some time, right? All right, and so just kind of let that run in the background, but to kind of finalize the installation, we have to kind of run one more thing, okay? And so the last thing that we have to run is we have to basically edit this file right here called our bashrc, okay? And we have to add this command down here, okay? So let me show you what that looks like. So I'm going to use gedit, and so this opens up my text file, okay? Right. And so what you can see here is that at the bottom of this bashrc, I've added this line of code right here called source. And this source is a file from the OpenFOAM software. Okay, and so what this does is it kind of installs a lot of shortcuts. Okay, because this will make things a lot more convenient when we're running OpenFOAM. And so what this does is it kind of adds a lot of OpenFOAM shortcuts to our Linux terminal. Okay. Okay, and so after you do that, you can just source your bashrc. I'm going to go a little bit quickly now because I know some people are still catching up and waiting for stuff to install. So let me finish this up, and then I'll go help people. Okay. All right, and so after that, we can source our bashrc. Okay, and then to test if your installation went correctly, you can run this command right here, and so you can do simple foam -help. Okay, and then if you run that command and you get all this stuff here, then your installation went by correctly. Okay. Okay, and so let me pause here for a second because I know people are still installing stuff, and then let me go virtually go around and kind of help people out. Okay. All right. So who's still having some issues with all the Linux stuff? Evangeline, were you able to fix that? Are you running on Mac, or are you running on the Windows Ubuntu? Windows, okay. Yeah, it takes a while to install stuff. Yeah. Okay, and so so you run the echo command and it still does the same thing.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Your keyboard doesn't have a tilde at all. Ah. I guess Shift Escape is a shortcut for tilde. Okay. All right. Export. We can just manually add this command to your bash RC. And so were you able to? Oh, but you don't have gedit yet, huh? Okay, this makes things tough. Okay, so we'll use kind of a built-in Linux text editor. Oh, if you have Atom, that works too. And so can you do Atom and then tilde bash RC? Okay. So mine won't work because I don't have Atom, but are you able to open up that bash RC file? Okay. And so it should look something like this. Oh, okay. And so I'm using the gedit command here, but you can use Atom. And so if you have Atom and you can find this bash RC, so you do Atom / tilde / bash RC, just like that. Did that work?
No, it said no such file or directory. So I don't know.
Oh, do you even have a bash RC? Let's try this. Let's try vim and then tilde / bash RC. And so you should. So this is kind of the built-in Linux text editor. So did that work, or is that still nothing?
Oh, it worked.
Okay. Okay. Let's use this then. And so Vim is kind of so Vim was like my first love, and so that was like my first text editor that I learned in Linux. And then I met gedit, and gedit is just way easier to use, and so I stopped using Vim. But Vim is nice. If everything else on your system is broken, then you can use Vim, and Vim is always going to be there for you. All right. And so Vim is kind of very tricky to use, and so right now you're viewing this text file, and you're kind of just in view mode, and so you can't edit anything. And so in order to start editing something, you have to hit I on your keyboard. And so if you hit I, okay, after you hit I, you should see this the bottom of your terminal here change to insert, right? And so with that, you can start modifying your text file. You can start typing, whatever you want. Right? And so what we want to do is we want to add this line at the bottom here. Okay? And so in your file, after you hit I, type in export display : equal 0. Okay. Or equal : 0, sorry, equal : 0. There we go.
Does it matter what line I put that in?
It doesn't matter. And so it's it can be anywhere on the stuff. Yeah. Oh, is this a typo? Oh, I'm sorry, this is a typo. In the document I have : equal, but it should be equal : So I'll fix that after the lecture today, and then I'll upload an updated one. Yep. Yeah. So if you're having trouble with the echo command, we're doing basically the same thing with Vim. Okay. All right. So were you able to input that line?
Yeah.
Okay, and so now what you're going to do is you're going to hit escape on your keyboard, because right now you're in insert mode, and so we need to exit insert mode, and so you can do that with escape. Okay, and so now you're back in view mode, and so now you're just viewing the text document, and then now let's save and exit. Right? And so the way I save and exit is that while you're in view mode, you're going to type in : x. Right? So you should see : x appear on the bottom of your terminal here. Okay, and so what that'll do is that'll save the document and then exit. And then now that we've saved those things, we can go ahead and hit source : bash RC, okay, or tilde / dot bash RC, right? And then hit enter. It might take a couple seconds, and then you should be good to go. Did that work?
It says I have a syntax error, so I might have typed it in wrong.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Yeah. So make sure, it's very particular on how you do this. So all the spelling and all the cases and the exact order has to be, exactly the same. Yep. Okay. All right. So how's everyone else doing? Will my PC blow up if I forgot to do the source after the echo? No, it's the source. All that does is that kind of just directly applies your system settings. And so, if you don't do the source, then all that happens is that your computer is just not going to register those changes. And so the source command just does that for you. Yep. Yeah, it takes a while to install stuff. Yeah, and so if you're still installing stuff, it's totally fine. And so I think overall, I think everything in this tutorial, I guess it's hard for me to say because I was kind of figuring stuff out at the same time as I was writing this thing. So but I do remember that installing OpenFOAM took my computer, it took it a hot minute, and so it's just give it time. And so just let it run in the background, and then eventually it should complete. Okay. So is anyone else having issues with the install? Anyone getting mysterious errors that they can't interpret? Okay. All right. And so after you do all that, OpenFOAM is going to install. I think for Raspbian. You're using Raspbian. Oh, yeah, the install might be a bit different. Yeah, I think I don't really have that much experience with Raspbian, and so yeah, you might have to search some things up on the internet for that. Yeah. Okay. And so before I go today, I do want to run one test case. Okay. Let me go into OpenFOAM. Let me remove this pits daily, because that's the, oops. Okay, because that's the example that we're going to run. Okay. All right. And so after you complete the installation, we can go ahead and run these commands here, and we can run our first OpenFOAM simulation. Okay. All right. And so one thing I recommend is always important to stay organized with your files. Okay. And so you can go ahead and make a new folder called OpenFOAM test. You can go into that folder. And so that's what I've basically done here. Okay. Oh no, a bash RC open in your Atom. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you after this. Yeah. Okay. And so for this example, we're just going to download the files directly from OpenFOAM. Okay. And so we're just going to be downloading a test case, running it, and then viewing the results. Okay. All right. And so I'm going to copy this exact command here. Okay. And this one I'm actually going to be running right alongside you guys. Okay. Or for those of you, probably none of you are at this point because you're waiting for stuff to install. But I'll do it in real time. Okay. And so first thing is we're going to copy this entire folder here. Okay. And so you can see here I'm using the CP command. Okay. And so remember, CP is copy and paste, right? And you can see here that I've added the -r. And so what the -r says, we want to copy this entire folder. Okay. And then we're copying this entire folder to this location here, which is dot. Okay. All right. And so I hit enter and I ran that command. Okay. And you can see now that we have a new folder here called pits daily. Okay. I have honestly no idea where that name came from, and I don't really want to know. Okay, and so let's go ahead and go into that folder, and so we're going to run our cd command. Okay, so we do cd pits daily. Okay, And now we're inside this folder, and now we're ready to run. Okay. Okay. And so to run OpenFOAM, there's generally kind of 3 steps that we need to do. Okay. And so the first thing we need to do is we need to mesh our domain. Okay. And so this is kind of the part of our class where, you know, we take our square domain and we, you know, and we break it up into into nodes and cells. Okay. Right. And so the way that we do that is we run the command called block mesh, right? And so we're just going to type in block mesh, okay? Right, and a bunch of matrix stuff is going to appear on your screen, okay? And then that's going to mesh the domain, okay? Right. Okay, and so that's our mesh. Right? And so if you want to view the mesh, we can do that, okay? Actually, let's view the mesh after, right? And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to run the simulation, okay? And so to run the simulation, we're going to run a command called simpleFOAM. Okay. Okay. And a bunch of stuff is going to happen. It's going to be running the simulation. It's going to take some time. Okay. Okay. And then after after 12 seconds here, the simulation is going to complete. Okay. And so this is kind of the same thing where we have our, you know, our MATLAB codes and we hit execute and then it runs our code, okay? Right? And so now that we've ran the simulation, we are ready to view the results, okay? And so in order to view the results, we're going to run this program called parafoam, okay? And so in the terminal, we're just going to type parafoam, okay? And so a little bit of a warning. And so, you know, you might run into an issue running parafoam. And so you might get an issue where it says Qt5 library not found. And so if you're running into this bug, you can just run this command into the terminal as well, right? And so if you're running into the error, you just go ahead and run this command, and then that will fix the error. Okay. It's one of those very rare errors where, you know, it's actually an error within, you know, the people that actually develop the code. And so it's not something that you did. It's just, you know, the people who downloaded, who run these packages did something wrong. Okay. And so if you run this command, that kind of clears things up. It's actually just a very simple error, but you know, it's you just have to clear that up. Okay. Right. And so after you clear that error, or after, oops, shoot, accidentally closed it. Let me launch it again. Okay. And so after you run the simulation and you open up parafoam, you're going to be launching into this program here called ParaView. Okay, and so ParaView is actually another open source software that's actually specialized in data visualization. Okay, and so it's used a lot by a lot of researchers, mostly because it's free, but it's also but it's actually also one of the really nice free softwares out there. Right? Okay, and so we're going to hit apply. And so after we hit apply, we're now viewing our our simulation results. Okay, and the way that you can view this, right, looks a lot like Star CCM. Yeah, I'm sure Star CCM has its own visualization software as well. Okay, and so and so right now all we're viewing is just our domain. Okay, and so this is kind of our nozzle that we're working with. Okay. If you want to view the mesh, you can go up to this location here in ParaView, okay, and you can change the view mode, okay. And so right now, all we're viewing is the surface, which is just the just kind of an outline of our domain. But if you want to view the mesh, you can do it by selecting surfaces with edges, okay. Okay, and then what we're showing here are the edges of all of our cells, all of our finite volume cells in our domain, okay. And so you can see here that it's a fairly refined mesh because it's especially in this region right here. Okay, it's pretty refined here. Okay, let me change back to surface just to be kind to my computer. Okay, and from here you can view the results. Okay? And so there's two main results that we can view. Okay, and so the first result that we can view is the velocity. Okay, and so the velocity here is given by u. Okay, the letter u. And so, what we're viewing here is the velocity field. Okay. All right. And so if we want to view the velocity field at the end of our simulation, we can go up to this kind of play bar here. Okay. So we hit play. Okay, we can see our simulation, moving forward in time. Okay. All right, and so from here, you can see that our flow is coming in and it's exiting the nozzle just like that. Okay. And so let's view the pressure. Okay, and you can see here when I hit P, it views the pressure in our domain. Okay. Okay. And so that's our first OpenFOAM simulation. And so I know you guys are probably still installing stuff, and so that's okay. And so let me do one thing here. So that simulation was nice, but it was a little bit boring. And so let me run kind of a more interesting simulation here, and then we'll go from there. And then after I set that simulation going, I'll go around and help people a bit. Okay. So actually, let me do this. Let me remove those folders. Go to System. Let me edit this control. Okay. And so instead of 2000, let's set it to 20. And delta T, we'll set this equal to 0.0. Oops. 0.001. Okay, and so 20, that's a little bit too much. Okay, so let me go ahead and run this in the background. And so I haven't done this before, and so we'll see if this works. Okay. All right, and then while that's going, let me go ahead and help people out. Okay. So Evangeline, are you still having issues with the bash RC?
Yes.
Okay. And so are you at the part where you're viewing the bash RC file in Vim or in Atom?
I closed it, and I closed everything. And just trying it again.
Okay. Okay. So if you can open up the bash RC in Atom, then I think that would be kind of the best thing, because then we can directly kind of modify that file.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Is anyone else? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, how did you open the Atom file in Atom?
Oh, I don't have Atom, but the way I thought I was doing it was I ran the command just Atom. I ran the command Atom and then ~/.bashrc.
Okay.
Yep. Were you able to open up the bash RC file in Atom?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And so if you go to the bottom of the bash RC file, actually, let me open up mine. I'll do mine in gedit, just so you can kind of see. Oh, the heck?
Yeah, it's just blank.
Oh. Okay. So you did ~/.bashrc?
Yes.
Okay, and it's totally blank?
Yeah.
Huh. That's weird. I think it should be okay. And so just anywhere in the file, you can just add this line right here. And so just add export display =:0.
And then save it?
Yep, just save it and exit. Okay. And then from there you can source it, and then you can do source ~/.bashrc.
Oh.
Did that work?
It says I have the same syntax error from last time.
Oh, what is the error?
Syntax error near unexpected token.
Near unexpected token. Can you copy and paste that into the chat?
Yes.
let's see. You try to make it open empty.txt, but it says unable to insert. Yeah. So that's the issue with the and so that's the issue with the that's why we downloaded and installed the Xming stuff. And so did you if you input Eduardo, if you input this command here, you have to kind of swap the colon and the equal. Yeah, so I made a typo in the document. So it should be echo export display equal colon equals 0. Equal colon, so it should be this. Let me put the command here in the I'll put it in the chat. So it should be echo export display equal colon 0. Yeah, so that's what the command should be. And so the one that I have here in the document is that I swap the colon and the equal. So try doing that, and then after that do source tilde/.bashrc, and then after that it should work. And then after that you should be able to do gedit empty.txt. Yeah. All right, let's see. Root syntax error, need unexpected token. I see. Parentheses. Did you put any parentheses in that in this export command, Evangeline?
No, I just typed it as is, so I'm very confused.
Huh. Let's try these commands and let's see what they do. All right, and so first thing I want you to do is I want you to go to your home directory, and so you can do that by doing CD and then enter. Oh, hang on. So it's 6:45, everyone. So that's all we got time for. So I'll stick around for a few more minutes and to help people debug stuff, but that's all I wanted to get through today. So on Wednesday we're going to do a full example. We're going to do this simulation right here called the lid-driven cavity flow. Okay, and then that will and then we'll go from there. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you want help kind of debugging stuff, I'll be here for another 15-20 minutes. But if not, I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. So Eduardo, you have to swap the equal sign and the colon, and so it should be display equal colon 0. Yeah. Oh, really? Oh. Huh. Oh, I think we probably have to delete the old one. And so if you and so this is for both Eduardo and Evangeline. So you can type a CD, and so this will take you back to your kind of home directory for Ubuntu. Okay, and they're going to do a special ls command, and so you can do ls and then -a, right? And so what this will do is this will show all of your hidden files as well, right? And so in here, you should see a file called .bashrc. So do you guys see that? You guys see that file?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And so let's go ahead and open that file in Vim. Okay. And so we're going to do vim.bashrc, just like that. Okay. All right. And so once you do that, hit enter, and then this is going to open up your .bashrc file. Okay. And so Eduardo, I think your error is that you have something that looks like this, probably from a command that we input earlier, right? And so what I want you to do is I want you to find this line here that has display colon equals, and then just delete it. And so remember, in order to delete stuff, you have to be in insert mode, and so you have to hit I, yep, and then go ahead and delete that line. And then after you delete it, do push escape to exit out of insert mode, and do :X to exit that out. Yeah. And then after that, try sourcing it and then see if that works. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Syntax line 2. Let's see. Maybe it might be easier for me to kind of see some screenshots. So Evangeline, if you can screenshot your what your bash RC looks like, and then I can help you kind of go from there. Were you able to do the sudo apt update and upgrade, Evangeline?
What step was that again?
And so let's see.
The sudo.
Yes.
Command,
so you
right?
Yeah, sudo apt-get update.
Oh yeah, I was able to.
And then it worked. Okay. And then you did sudo apt-get upgrade, right?
Update and upgrade, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. So yeah, go ahead and send me screenshots from your bash RC, and then I could take a look, and then we'll go from there. I think that's a little bit easier because with sending syntax errors back and forth usually is not an efficient process.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead and send me some screenshots, and then I'll help you out through there.
Is your Discord okay?
Oh yeah. Discord's fine too. Yep. Oh, I see your Zoom icon is our topology optimization.
Oh yeah, because it kept making weird like polls, and I didn't know if that was right.
Oh yeah. That's fine. Yeah, that's right. Let's see.